The respiratory center is found in the brainstem. Remember that the respiratory system, unlike the heart, unlike the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system very much depends on the brain. There is no intrinsic pacemaker in the respiratory muscles. They're skeletal muscles, just like every other skeletal muscle. So they require a signal from the brain through an upper motor and lower motor neuron in order to contract. So it means some place in the brain is literally sending a signal to contract the respiratory muscles and start inspiration every single time. This is one of the reasons why true brain death, requires that the patient is not breathing on their own. Because if they're breathing on their own, it means at least the brainstem is still functioning, which means they don't qualify for brain death. We'll talk more about that in ethics in the summer. But, all right, so the respiratory system is really controlled by three different areas in the brainstem. The dorsal respiratory group, that's this area right here. On the dorsal side. The dorsal respiratory group is the closest thing to a pacemaker for the respiratory system that there is, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So it's mainly causing inspiration. The ventral respiratory group, or the VRG, which sits on the ventral side, mainly causes expiration. And remember I said the other day that expiration is typically passive. Right? We require muscular energy to inflate the lungs. The lungs deflate on their own, which means that the VRG isn't active all the time, right? Because expiration is passive. And then we have the pneumotaxic center, which is a little higher up. And as is typical for sort of neural functional anatomy, the higher up we go, the more complex the relationships, the more complex the neural structures are. This is true for the pneumotaxic center too. So the pneumotaxic center acts almost like a cerebellum for the respiratory system. It provides fine control and coordination of breathing with other activities. So let's talk about each of these in turn. And I'll give you an easy, you don't need to know the anatomy. You're going to learn all that in next semester in neuroanatomy. So don't worry about pictures of brains. But I do want you to know